Hello everyone, this is Sirisha and I host the Women, Career and Life podcast. Just like you, I've traversed varied paths, stumbled a little, picked myself up and learned a great deal on my journey. Many of us face similar questions, but we don't always get to have a conversation with our friends or peers. In this podcast, you will hear real stories that you can connect with on the challenges of navigating career and life. You must be wondering who I am. In my everyday life, I'm a career woman, a mom, and an avid reader. I'm also a road tripper, amateur gardener, and even a fashionista on some days. Join me and my guests as we have an open and honest discussion on career change, trade-offs, and working across boundaries. You get the idea. It's a perspective you simply may not hear anywhere else. So today I have a guest, a very special guest. She's a dancer, a choreographer, a teacher, also a small business owner, and she's a recent career woman. And let me not forget, she's also a mom of 2 rambunctious kids. Let me introduce you to the everyday rock star, Kavita Kanukolanu. Kavita, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sirisha. I'm so happy and excited to be here.
I've kind of seen you transition through your journey, so I think it'll be interesting for the listeners to hear your story. So can you start off with giving a little background about yourself and what you're doing today?
I have been living in Texas for almost 20 years. Right now, I am having the best time of my life. I am one of those women who started her career after she turned 40. She's not the one who started and took a break after 40. I am multitasking. I do dance. I teach dance. I'm actually a trained classical Indian dancer, which is a Kuchipudi dancer, which is from the southern part of India. I'm also a project manager. I've been working for the past 1.5 years. I started as a part-time worker, and now I'm a full-time employee with them. It's been a very interesting transition for me. Career has always been on the back burner for a long time because I had 2 young kids and I was a stay-at-home mom for almost 10 years. Right now, I started working and I'm multitasking all these things.
I think that's what's fascinating about your journey. Like you said, you started your career at a later point, staying at home 10 years. What made you go back to starting your career? What made you want to transition and how did you make that transition?
After my daughter, she started going off to kindergarten. That's when I had to really figure out and think about what's next for me. I was at a very different phase at that time, considering the fact that I did not have a whole lot of career experience to show to go back into the workforce was something that was actually pulling me back. So that's when with a lot of encouragement from all my friends, so I took that first step with dance. And once I started establishing myself as a teacher and started enjoying it, I felt very content and happy. But at the same time, there was this unsatisfaction or something inside me that said, I haven't done justice to all the education that I've had.
So how did you start your dance school? How did you get students? How did you build your reputation?
So starting dance school started when I started to teach my daughter. It just happened by chance when my daughter was in an art class and I went one evening to pick her up after her class. And there was another Indian lady. And then we both happened to be chatting away. And then I told her that I was teaching dance. And she was very excited and she wanted me to teach her granddaughter. It was just 2 students for almost 8 months. My student's mom played a pretty good role also in that. I would say it was mostly word to mouth.
It's like a cycle, right? A bicycle. You have to start moving and pedaling. Only then will you actually be in motion and right. You can maintain a balance and actually have a journey and correct the course if needed. But if you never put your foot to the pedal and even start, yes. You're not going anywhere, right? You're not started. So you just have to start, fall down a few times, have someone hold your back. Yes. I mean, I think that analogy of the bike is perfect. And when we're thinking of starting anything or doing something. So similarly, now let's move to your full-time career. So what did you do to set yourself up? You had graduated with a master's in computer science, but not worked for a decade at least. So what did you do to refresh your skills, or how did you go about that and go about finding the job?
So actually, my husband and I were part of a nonprofit organization called Save the Child Foundation. I would help them in organizing any kind of campaigns and things like that. And this organization was growing. So when our friend was trying to change in the way things were working, and so he started to implement Salesforce, and he needed some help with it. So and then he told me, he gave me a little guidance about learning it by myself on the trailheads of Salesforce. It started with that in sometime in 2015 or 2016. And I started learning that at that time, in fact, but I did not pursue it for aggressively. But it was always there, and I love the fact that I could sit and learn this and software or product. Once the pandemic hit, a lot of things changed. Dance school went online. I had a lot of time on my hands. For 2.5 months, I was at it. Went ahead and gave my certification, which to my greatest surprise, I passed. But the next challenge was preparing a resume. And my resume wouldn't have reflected anything. I have a cousin who was looking for a part-time worker. I jumped at it. Yes, I started as a part-time worker from June 2020. And by March of 2021, they were satisfied. They were very happy. They needed to give more work. And that's when they said, we want you to come on board full time. And are you willing to do that? And I was ecstatic.
I think that's a really interesting story. First of all, you got some flavor of experience from a nonprofit.
Yes.
So you tried some things, it looked intriguing. Yes. When the time came, you said, okay, let me explore it more. And you studied for it. You put the time and investment and you got your certification. So, that makes us all feel good, right? An accomplishment is an accomplishment. So makes us feel very, I mean, pride in ourselves, absolutely. And then when you started to look, you wanted the experience no matter in which forum you got it. So it's great that your cousin approached you and you had that conversation. I think a lot of us are very hesitant to reach out to friends and family. And there is that awkwardness sometimes, and I'm glad it worked out. And I think that's something for everybody who may be listening, right? You have to have that conversation with your friends and family. It's not necessarily about getting the job, but even finding out what do they do. Where is it? And you could help them on something. It could be they're starting a school or whatever it is, a flavor of experience, because that's where we all you need a foot, a helping hand and a foot to put inside the door. And once you're in the door, then you can make whatever you want after that. And that's where as you said, you had that part-time experience. People got to watch your work ethic. You got to get some experience, and they really liked what you did. And it's again the sense of accomplishment. And now it's been, a year and a half, and you're leading a program. So you have your plate full. We kind of call it rocky terrain, right? The first year transition with all the things going on, just getting back to work. You're managing your schedule. You're trying to balance everything. Have you had also a support of a tribe?
In fact, through every phase, ever since I started the dance school or whatever it is, my friends, and of course, my husband has been my parents more than anything. I till date, I'm so grateful that my mom. There was an age where I was like, why am I learning dance? I was too young to even understand the importance of that art form. But she never gave up on me, and I'm so glad she did not at that phase of my life. Her constant encouragement and all those things have always been there.
It's been so interesting. You've done so many transitions, different phases than what some people might do it at. And I think that in itself tells a unique story for someone to listen to. So this is a question I ask all our guests. What advice or quality would you tell your 21-year-old self for them to take through the next few decades?
Just be yourself. Try not to procrastinate, in the sense, try not to push things and say, oh yeah, it's fine, I'll do that in a couple of years. Maybe not to do that. Start it then. Start your journey early on so that you can have more experiences and try different things every decade. Having kids and trying to manage a career was something that I wasn't very comfortable on. It's a choice that I made, but in retrospect, I think I would have done well considering how I'm able to manage now.
Yes, I think it speaks to resilience, right? I think we're all capable of much more. And it's not really about regrets at all, right? It's really about the hope and what advice. Like I think what you said is be yourself. And you know you can do it. You're just saying, hey, think about it, doing it now. You don't always have to wait, and you can be more resilient than you think you are. And
Exactly.
If you are in that situation, you will figure out how to swim, no matter what it is. Wanted to say thank you. It's been a great pleasure because you have talked about how you started with your dance school, just the pleasure you have of teaching the kids, the high expectations that you've set for yourself, starting the career, figuring out what you wanted to do, how to do it, getting used to it and doing it really well. When they come back and say, hey, you want to transition full time, that's a great thing.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Tune in every other Wednesday to catch the next episode. If you think a friend may benefit from this, please share this podcast with them. I would love to hear from you about your stories and your journey. You can reach me on my blog, Twitter, Instagram, or Gmail at Women, Career and Life. Until next time, this is Sirisha signing off. Remember, there are infinite possibilities to drive change in career and life. Which will you choose to make a reality today?